issues around the Black Stars. Now, he raised a number of points from the structural defects with how we manage our football and our national teams, and then we zeroed in on the coaching bit, the playing body, and their roles, and why our Black Stars currently seem not to be getting, results even easy and getting to win games for Ghana. In your own perspectives, Michael, you've been following the Black Stars team for some time now. What is the bigger problem with the Black Stars team and why they seem not to be playing well and winning games in the past year or two?
Well, then, thanks once again for the opportunity. The topic of the Black Stars is actually one that divides opinions, and then you have, if you have to do, let's say, a research sort of, and you have to engage 10 Ghanaians on what they think is wrong with the Black Stars, they will likely give you the same response. But if you ask them, how do we tackle such issues that they're able to raise? And then they'll come up with varied or different suggestions or ideas as to how to go about it. And being a Ghanaian and also being a sports journalist, I think I also belong to one of the many Ghanaians who have ideas on how best the Black Stars can run and can help play better at the top and then make a name for the country Ghana. One, I think there are fundamental issues that the devil has, and these are issues that have not been attended to for more than 5 years, more than 6, 7, 8 years, even to 10 years. And then we have seen the result of that in recent displays that the team has turned out, and then the results that they've been able to record. It has not been impressive because we failed to do some of the things that we did previously that helped our cause. We need to go back, ask ourselves questions, and know what is it that we did right that helped the mid-2000 Black Stars, let's say to somewhere 2015. What were some of the things that we did right? First off, let me start off with how the team is managed. I think that time and time again, we've often raised concerns as to the actual input of a Black Stars management committee. We need to ask ourselves questions. I think it is a policy instituted by the FA to ensure the smooth running and the smooth management of our respective national sides. But in the current football dispensation we find ourselves in, is it still worth it? And is it still paying off to have a 5-member committee who will be running affairs for the Black Stars and still have a team manager amongst the team's fold? And then almost every campaign period, there are issues that come up, dealing with player welfare, issues that come up, dealing with player attitude and indiscipline. Then it leads us to ask so many questions about how the team is being run. So let me come in with this. How about we get experienced people? People who have been there, they've done it, and then they know it. Knowledge and experience are things you don't buy with educational experience or with certain credentials which are outside of the game. So, for instance, the current Black Stars team manager is Ayew. I'm not aiming any shade at him, but it is quite easier for Andre Ayew, who has played in the Black Stars for a very long time, to walk to Anthony Baffo or to walk to someone like Stephen Appiah and explain to him exactly what it is that is affecting the players as regards welfare, as regards certain things related personally to the players. It is easier for Andre to do that with Anthony Baffo than to do same with Ayew. It is because Anthony Baffo will better understand and appreciate the input that Andre Ayew will put in or Anthony Baffo will put in. So it becomes more of a player versus a senior player relationship sort of. In the case of Shadow, it looks more like someone who is doing his job or performing his role, excuse me, and then I am coming up with issues. So the person cannot really understand me from that perspective of a player-player conversation. And there are so many things that happen in camp. How you go about it is crucial. For instance, if I'm a player and I'm in a national team camp, I want to go out to do something. Someone who has been there before, experienced such an atmosphere, understand what it means to represent the national side. has a better way of convincing me to either go ahead with it or stop doing it than someone who has not been there before, who want to just apply a bookish approach and say, oh, you can't do this. You're supposed to be in camp. You're supposed to sleep this way. Players, in as much as they are professionals, are different beings altogether. So to handle them, there should be a certain level of expertise that is laden with direct experience and then in-depth knowledge. And I think how we go about with the appointment of some of these backroom staff, those who are part of the team, as to those who play a direct role and indirect role in how the team is managed, I think needs a critical looking at. Can we look at getting people who have been there, done it before, have the right expertise? Can we get them on board? For instance, with Senegal, there is a Latitude who plays the role of a special advisor to the president as regards activities of the national side. There is Ali Cissé. Now, these two have done a lot of good to the national side that they have been able to recruit certain team members of that 2002 squad to be part of their entourage. So in almost everything they do in terms of policy, decision-making, whatever, these are the people who will brainstorm and take an action regarding the Teranga Lions. In our case, it's quite different. It's quite different in the sense that you have people who have not done this directly, playing a major part in decision-making and some of the things that are being done. So clearly, they might have good intentions. They might apply things that are bookish. In the books, on paper, it looks so ideal. But in reality, it is not practicable. And I think we need to look at this, reassess ourselves, and know, is it time that we redefine policy in terms of how we appoint backroom staff and how we go about it? I think it is crucial. 2, technical team. Today we are faced with the conundrum of as to whether we keep Chris Hughton or we let him leave before the AFCON. But we shouldn't have been here. If we had done the right thing in terms of appointing who the next coach should be, and I say it's not just to limit it to the time span or the period Chris Hughton has been Black Stars coach. This has been happening before Chris Hughton. The appointment of Rotoado, the appointment of Milovan Rajavac, goes on, CK Akono. There have been several coaching appointments that leads us asking questions as to the current group of players available for the Black Stars and the current coaches that we attract. Are they two entities that really blend and get us the desired results or get us to where we want to get to? And I think no. We claim we are building a team. We are building something anew. So with what we have in mind, the kind of project that we plan embarking on, we need somebody who is suitable to such a task and can do it as we expect. Chris Hughton, I don't think, is really somebody who builds. He's a good coach, but we brought him on board at a point in time when he was not practicing. And so, even if you are to rank the top 200 active coaches then, Chris Hughton was not a part of it or a member of it. Fine, if anything happens with coaching, you just appoint them and works. But also, recent results have shown us that there are coaching trends that have emerged. And if you bring in a coach that is not quite in sync with how modern coaching should be, basically, he's going to work with modern day football, and he will struggle. And so, there are lots of us who believe that, in as much as Chris Hughton has a pedigree, Chris Hughton has done this, he's done that, he's managed the top flight teams in England and all that. We think that he's yesterday's coach, and it's not the appropriate coach who should be handling the Black Stars as it is now. One, he doesn't have the African experience. He's new. He comes from a different football culture. There will be several cultural shocks that you will experience. He will have to go through all of these things before he settles. Now, he has a short time frame to do his job. So, the coach himself needs to learn. He needs to weave himself into the fray. Now, he needs a period of learning, and that period will take not less than 1 year. So by the time the 1 year is up, he's not done much, and he will still need much time to prove himself. We don't have the best of time in terms of what we want to do. So it ends up being like, okay, the coach is not good, so sack him. But if you go about appointing the right coaches for the right task, or the coaches that we think that fit the kind of project that we want to run, they wouldn't have to lack or need that much time to be able to settle and then deliver as we expect. And so our coaching appointment has not been ideal in my little experience I've observed from the Black Stars. Clearly, we've gone about appointment of coaches playing the usual politics. Okay, so this party appointed Coach A. He came on board, he was not good. So this is my turn to also appoint. It should not be a competition sort of. You will not always get coaching decisions correct. But if you stick to your guns and you believe that there is something there, that is what you have to follow, a blueprint or a criteria sort of, that we need Coach A and B as A, B, C, D. He needs to have this, he needs to have that. Clearly, we will not be making this a political card game. So you play your card, it is my turn to also play mine. It doesn't happen that way, and it need not happen that way, especially for this top level. Again, the head coach is appointed, and then how much of a role does he even play in the appointment of his backroom staff? For instance, Diri Dramani was brought on board, kindest courtesy the Ghana Football Association. But George Boateng, the same thing. So you have Chris Hilton on board, and then he's the main coach. You believe he has the capabilities and the competence to take us to where we want to get to, but you don't trust his expertise and advice. You don't even consult him for him to help in the appointment of the assistant coaches he will work with. Where does this thing work? I have not seen any football dispensation where something of this thing unfolds. It is only here. And if we keep doing this, it means that most of our appointments will be much more inspired by personal interest at the detriment of a collective good. And when it happens this way, you have so many people who are in there to serve a certain interest group and not necessarily the bigger picture or the bigger entity in Ghana. So we are going to keep having coaching issues because of how we go about it, not necessarily who. If we go about it the right way, it will cater for the who. But if we keep looking at the who and we don't change how the who is appointed, we will keep coming back to this. And it is not news, it is not different. After Kwesi Appiah, Sika Akona has come. He did not even last beyond 2-3 years. Then in comes Milovan Rajapaksa. He did not last beyond 2-3 years. Then Otuado comes in as a stopgap. He doesn't last beyond 2-3 years. Then there's Chris Hilton. So in the space of less than 6 years, we have changed coaches not less than 4 times. So why do we always think it is much more about who we appoint? No, I think it's about how we appoint them and how we even constitute our backroom staff and the technical team setup. It needs a critical looking at. When will the politicians stop playing a role in who we appoint? When would those we have entrusted our football in their hands also think more about getting the right people on board by putting in place a criteria, strategies, things that really speak more football than personal interest? If we start getting most of these things right, then we know we are taking the right steps towards curing most of the malaise within our setup. But as it stands now, we are not doing that. And so we will just put in the word that Chris Hilton should be sacked. It is eventually sacked. We will go about the same process of appointing the new coach. Nothing changes. He comes on board. After 6 months, we want him out. So we need to change. Then it comes to the playing body. This is where most of the issues are. And then it's simple. Ghana went to several youth tournaments from 1991 coming. And let's say for the period 1991 to 2003, we had a fair representation of young Ghanaian players take part in either the FIFA Under-17 World Cup, the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, the African Youth Championship, and the African Under-17 Championship. Now, these crop of players were picked from local clubs. They passed through a certain local football system. And so I will gladly say they were locally manufactured footballers before they got better opportunities outside. Now, most of these players graduated to form part of a senior national team as and when the need arose. We have players like Sami Kufuor. He was part of Ghana's 2006 squad. We have players like John Mensah. Asamoah Gyan was a member of Ghana's Olympic Games team in 2004. Before then, he had also had short stints with the Black Stars. The core of the team we took to the World Cup in 2006 then had 95% of them either playing through the Ghana League system, playing for a junior national team, be it the under-17 or the under-20 or even both, playing at the African Youth Championship and also the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, and then graduating to the Black Stars proper. Now, what this means is that the culture of Ghana football is truly imbibed in such players. They come to understand the need to represent the nation and represent it fully. And so we have players like Suleiman Tari, who played and excelled in Europe for respected clubs, playing to even win the topest European trophy, which is the UEFA Champions League. But they never demonstrated a lack of commitment while donning the Black Star shirt. It never happened. We can speak same for Stephen Appiah, and I insist, not a single current Black Stars player has a better European football pedigree or status than Stephen Appiah had. But he was always available, and always he wore his hat on his sleeves whenever he wore the Black Star shirt. Why is it so? Because he understood the process he came through. So he was properly schooled on the Ghana football culture. But it is quite a different story now. 2006, the same team played out. Derek Boateng, the others. 2010, the likes of Antoniana and the others are joined. It was the same format. Remnants of the 2009 under-20 team were made team members of the 2010 Ghana FIFA World Cup squad. And we did not have a single case of poor attitude on the pitch, players not working hard enough, players not being committed enough. No. Rather, in the current Black Stars team, we have often complained about how these players set out on the field to play. They put up like a bicycle attitude, like they don't really want to be on the pitch. They are not hard working enough without the ball, for instance. It is an eyesore to see a Ghana player who loses the ball and then he walks around like nothing matters. The average Ghanaian football fan will want to see the Black Stars players kill themselves on the field of play, not kill literally, but use figuratively to mean that you are sweating for the nation. So even if we see you putting in that effort and then you are still not getting the result, there is a general understanding that you are trying your best. But in this case, these are players who are not trying their best and they are not also giving us their best football. It leaves much questions to be answered. And they are one. Iñaki Williams, the rest, they are players who perhaps had Ghana as a second choice and not really as a first option. So since the first option failed or did not materialize, then they considered Ghana. And I think the World Cup also played a role in baiting most of these players into our fold. But as to whether they have actual commitment and passion to represent the nation, I think there is a huge question mark on it. And it speaks volumes of how we go about calling up players or inviting players to play for the senior national football team. Are they players who really want to represent us, or players who feel they are doing us a favor by just showing up to play for us? And it's happened several times. We went to the last AFCON, we did not perform, and then players just moved on. There was no collective apology. There was nothing of that sort. They moved on like nothing really mattered. We are dying to see the team exhibit some kind of commitment that every other Ghanaian appreciates, but we don't see this from them. It's because these are players who feel that representing the national team is more of doing us some kind of favor than actually paying service to the country. So we need to go back until our league system has been improved. And nobody can tell me we can't get to that level. We can. If we have serious investment into our leagues, if we are putting our clubs on better platforms to deliver. The Habib Mohammed, the Sheila Eliases that we used in 2006, the Liadis we used in 2010, the Aminu Dramanis we used in 2006, can still be used at the next FIFA World Cup. It is only about us making sure that our clubs are well equipped. There's much more investment into the local scene, and we're able to revamp our league structure and improve it. Without an improved league, we can't count on having the best crop of players who are committed. We can have the best players, but they will always show total commitment for the clubs that pay them week in, week out. So you see Jordan Ayew work his socks off at Crystal Palace, but you will not see same commitment, attitude, character, whatever, on the field of play when he wears the Black Stars jersey. You will not understand. But it's because of the employment contract he has with Crystal Palace. So if you want to start seeing that in the Black Stars, maybe it's about how we go about our players and all that. If Stephen Appiah felt the need to die for Ghana, it is because right from 1995, he has started representing Ghana, and he knows what that kind of representation did for him. Even before he moved abroad, Ghana paved the way, provided that platform. So we need something like that. Let's improve our league. Let's also look at how best we can help our junior national teams. And there is science to it. There is data. There are facts to this. Whenever we've had our junior national teams perform, it is not difficult for our national team to get top players. Andre Ayew came from the under 20. Samuel Inkum from the under 20. Emmanuel Ajimandoju from the under 20. Jonathan Mensah. And these are players who served the nation well. Not to say the least, they played 2 FIFA World Cups and they did not disappoint. Appiah played for under 17 and under 20. Sami Kofo under 17 and under 20. A lot of players have gone through such a process. So there is always some kind of remembrance. They can go back, trace, and know that this is actually something that we did work. Why can't we return to the old days? So there is a lot that we need tackling. Okay. Before we look at the immediate solution, okay, we should change this player, we should bring in this player. Let's look at addressing the fundamentals. To be able to do that, then we can put up a structure that is solid enough to withstand whatever kind of pressure that comes from that comes externally. Until we do that, we always go about it. Our problems will be cyclical, like it will repeat. We try to solve it, it repeats. We try to solve it, it repeats, and we get nowhere from this.
Sorry, I mean, this has been extensive from all the angles, and so I will need to end it. There's no need for me to even to ask any further questions. Thank you very much, Asare Boadu. Immense thanks for your contributions on the show this evening.
You're welcome, Ben.
Grateful. Michael Asare Boadu, extensively going through it all.